uh,
We're here.
we're on the other side.
We're on the other
We're
side,
looking
both time zones and location wise.
girl.
Me navigating this daylight savings, why was I like, "Doo, doo, doo, doo," like the Charlie
Wait, so are
Day?
you
Like,
1 hour behind now or 1 hour ahead now?
depends on how you look at it. Depends on
Oh
how
my
you look
god,
at life.
she's
No,
right.
we did the whole fall back, but it's crazy because Europe does it a week before the US, and then Bangkok doesn't do it at all. So it's
Right.
like beep boop bop boop 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 boop. So this just this 1 week it's gonna be extra weird. But yeah, like technically we are farther apart in time now. Like now we're 6 hours apart rather than five.
I don't like being farther away from
I know.
time, even
But I'm
time-wise
closer to
from
the West, but I'm closer to East Coast. Where you at,
that's
y'all? So that's why it was like, oh, this week. I was like, oh, this is actually gonna help us. And then I calculated, I was like, waking up at 3 a.m. No, that's actually not gonna help us. Most Asian countries
yeah.
don't fall back spring. I love that for them. Like, why?
Yeah. Oh, and let me make sure that I keep this so that way
And hi,
everybody
Kirby.
can see live chat. Huzzah. Yes, Kirby. Most Asian countries don't do this, which I really appreciate. It makes
It's
my life a whole lot easier. Also, in case y'all could not tell, I am not in my home
new
right
home. You,
now.
we love to say that's your new home.
Yeah. Oh my god.
We
If this
wish.
was my
We collectively wish.
I don't know if people would be able to talk to me if this was my new home. Oh,
Only if they came correct. Only if they came correct.
potentially, potentially, potentially. Okay. So we it was invented in a
Right. I
material.
don't think it really helps that attitude. It's like, is this helping
Right.
who and why? Because okay, I get it. We are in like Denmark, it's starting to go to the dark days. And I mean that quite literally, where it's like, okay, the summer was fun, but now it's like darker and darker and darker. So it's like, okay, I get maybe the appeal of like, okay, let's fall back so we get like a little bit of extra sun. Baby, it's not doing that much. It's just going to keep getting darker for the rest of the winter. So I'm like, it's not giving like the burst you think it's giving. Like, let's just let it keep being dark. I don't know. And then when we spring forward, I'm like, then I feel like I lost an hour and I'm like, oh, what did I do to deserve this?
Yeah,
I
I
just,
just it's all too much. It's all too much stimulation. I appreciate my neurodivergence appreciates the regularity of I wake up tomorrow, every tomorrow, knowing exactly what time it is that I'm going to wake up. Thank you, Asia. Thank you for
yes.
acting appropriately.
I was like, I like that, but I was like, I never know what actual time I'm gonna wake up the next day because of anxiety and being a mother of a toddler. So I'm like,
Right.
do
You
we
have
ever
multiple
really
things.
know when we're gonna wake up? All
This is
that to
also
say, yeah, just ignore it. L, very much that. I'm just like, just let me know. Honestly, this is the time where I'm like kind of grateful our phones just adjust because I'm like, just let me know what time it is. Like, I lost an hour, I got an hour. I'm gonna vibe either way until we have to schedule lives. And I was like, okay, we have to adjust at least for this week because
oh my god,
that time is
perfect
crazy.
segue. Perfect segue. Scheduling lives, making sure that time things are in order, timelines. We are talking about timelines
It
for
all comes
moving
back.
abroad.
It all comes back.
Oh
I
my
have
god.
our trusty, I have it in front of us. Yes, this is our fifth step. We were just saying how we were working our way through this checklist. She is like, I mean, there's something about being in a robe that just like heightens up, I feel like, your attractiveness in general.
I appreciate this. I was telling Candace this before. I
Right
literally
now.
just came back from a media dinner where much alcohols were being served. Now, I was on my best behavior. That being said, she did have a glass or two. I'm focused, but
Plus
she did
two.
have a glass or two.
Yeah, Shayna's going off of 2 plus wine, and I'm going off of an hour plus nap. So we're in a good
Yeah.
we're in a good vibe. Elle, I'm gonna start. I might have to borrow that. Today is right now. Just like, honestly, today is right now. Just we made it here somehow by a miracle. Let me just live in the present. But speaking of living in the present and time and timelines, yes, we are discussing. I mean, we're always discussing all of the stuff, but mostly focusing on the article that we just put out, how to create the perfect timeline for
Link
you
in the
for moving abroad.
description if you would like to read it. It is full of information, lots of details.
Yes, yes. And this is a good one. This is a good split. Again, kind of getting back to Shayna and I kind of splitting the time, but basically we open up and Shayna gives a great just overview of all of the things that can be on your timeline to consider. Is it your visa, the documents you have to get in time, any other legal documents you have to secure, when to book your flights, the best times, all of that good stuff. And then later, towards the end of the article, I go in and try to give like an actual outline for what a timeline could look like. So, and I figured 6 to 8 months because honestly, 6 to 8 months in some ways is more than enough time to like move abroad. That seems like yeah, that's enough, but also kind of less than you would think. But if you started now, you could be abroad in about 6 months from now, truly.
I think
Um,
personally, I think 6 months is if you are
it's on
on
the
your
longer end,
stuff.
honestly.
Like, for it's on the longer end, but I think that also depends on the kind of visa that you're applying for. Like, when
Absolutely.
I some of the visas that I was able to get, I was out of there and I was able to move in, like, a month and a half. But for others that require more documentation, more whatever, I had to wait 6 months just because there was so much red tape to go through. But that being said, with all of that red tape, because I was on it, I was able to get out in 6 months
Yeah.
for,
And
like,
that's
at least a year with the possibility
exactly.
of extending. Yeah.
And L, that's a really great, yay, congrats on your first passport. Because I mean, that's the exact thing is like knowing the first things to get is like the things that are going to take the longest. It's passport, it's visa, it's documents, right? If you start with that, once you have those figured out, then the other stuff that can slow the process down is just how much you have to kind of declutter your space and declutter like what you're doing in the States or wherever you're coming from, and then bringing that to your new place. And again, FYI, decluttering your space will be our next article within our checklist.
Mhm.
So yeah, after once you get like the all the bits and bops figured out, then it's just like how quick can you pack? How quick can you say goodbye to your friends and family? Because if I think about it, I decided, well, it was 2016 election, so I decided like November 2016, like, oh, I'm going. And then I found the program because I did my master's. I found the program probably by January, February, applied, got stuff back around March, April, and then by June, I think it was like June 2nd, I was in Denmark. So it
Mm.
was also kind of around a 6 to 8 months time. So we kind of based off of that. So definitely check out the article and you can if you didn't have a chance to do it before, no worries, we're going to chat through it. But really we'll chat a little bit through it, but of course want to see like any questions that came up, any questions you already have around timeline, around when to buy flights, around what to do first, all of that good stuff. The
And these
floor
could
is
be
now
more, like,
open.
personally based questions. Like, if these are questions that you think, "Oh, well, this applies specifically to me, but maybe not to the larger community," this is why we go live. And if you happen to be on the live, then this is the time to share those questions. Um,
Ooh, oh,
also,
L,
ooh,
great
okay, we
one.
got a question. What
I'm
kind
a
of
professional
visa
teacher.
jobs can I get abroad if you know? Um, I think that this is going to depend a little bit on what kind of teaching artist you are and would like to be abroad.
Mhm.
Um, what kind of if you would like to continue being a teaching artist abroad, and if you would like your visa to be connected to you being a teaching artist. Like,
Very true.
this
Because
is
I was just
why. Huh?
No, I was just thinking of that the artist visa in Germany that we talked about. We put it in the chat, Elle, if you saw it. But there's like there's more I know, but we talked about like an artist specific like an artist visa in Germany. I think there were a few other countries that were opening it. But a great point that Shayna talks to is like, is that what you want your visa to be attached to? Because that's absolutely possible. There's quite a few of these more arts and teaching. We have that if you look into our visa article, we have a bunch of information about all the different types of teaching visas, but it's also what you want to kind of hinge your visa on, if that makes sense. But go on, Shayna.
Yeah. I don't know if I remember what I was getting ready to say
Sorry.
afterwards, which is totally fine. Oh, yes, I do. Okay. Um, so if
Mhm.
that is something that you would like, I think to start off, because there's so many different ways to be a teaching artist, I would start looking up I would start looking up different visa options for artists internationally. And that could
Mhm.
be even like even as simple as just googling art like visas for artists or looking at specific countries because sometimes like even with that quick like broad level Google search things might not come up. But if there are specific countries that you are interested in, you could potentially find ways like back alleyways into getting a visa for the thing that you would like to get. That might not
Mhm.
be promoted extensively, but is still possible. So, like, prime example, I talk about this a lot on here, but a lot of people don't realize that when it comes to the destination Thailand visa, which is what I have, there are a lot of there are people that can get this visa who are disabled, who are chronically ill, who need long-term medical assistance. And because they need long-term medical assistance, that could be their gateway into getting a long-term stay visa. But you
Mhm.
need to do your research to be able to find that. Now, I'm sharing that on here. There are other platforms that maybe do, maybe don't. But in that same way, there are platforms or websites or even like embassies that will be able to share those resources for hey you're interested in being a teaching artist, you're interested in being a arts based long-term resident, here are some of our options. And then in your application, you can make the argument to say, this is how I personally would like to be here longer. To say what
Mhm.
countries, what specific visas, different countries have different visas. Different countries have different jobs. Different countries are looking for different kinds of people. Some countries are
Mhm.
looking for artists. Some countries
Yeah,
are not looking for artists. We can't list that off the top of our heads because that is constantly changing. But
that part.
if
Yeah,
you know that that is something that you are looking for, there are countries that are also seeking people for
definitely.
that. Yes,
Definitely.
those are my thoughts.
Beautifully said. We did have another question for you from Delsa. Delcia? Sorry if I'm pronouncing it. What Asian country would you recommend for queer neurodivergent femme? And is student visa or work visa better? Even better, how to move independently if I want to freelance. And I actually know we are going to have, I saw in the back end of your drafts that there's going to be another article about freelancing abroad. So stay tuned on that, that we'll be
Yes.
talking about. But yes, take it away, Shayna.
I appreciate you looking at the back end of my drafts because I put a lot of ideas in the back end of our Substack, and I'm like, I'm gonna get to
I'm
that. And
looking.
then sometimes I forget.
I said,
Thank
"Ooh,
you for
that's a good
reminding
one.
me that
She's cute. I like that." You're welcome.
I,
Always.
I appreciate you. Okay, so first of all, and I think I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but when it comes to me being in Asia more specifically, the first time that I ever visited Asia was when I moved here permanently, long term, sold all my stuff. I'm like, I'm here for 5 years. I really hope this works. So I am slowly starting to explore and meet people from different Asian countries, ethnic groups, regions. I'm starting to really do that. I've only been here
Mhm.
for about 3 months. So I can't say that I can definitely recommend or not recommend right now. Um, for me personally, as a, there's a burp in here, I kept it cute. You're
That
all
was
welcome.
that was cute. She
Thank
was
you.
very demure, very respectable.
My mother says that I burp like not a man. She's like, "You burp like not my grandma, her grandma."
You do give like an older black woman burp, and I didn't know that was a thing before, but now that you mentioned
Wow.
it,
I did not know that it was that specific.
I mean, now that we have it here, while you while we're
Now
on
that we
that
have entered
topic,
the space.
now that we've entered it, because I do want to continue with the insight, but I just had a thought again. We have probably one of our next articles will be a Q&A session with another BBA, woman of color abroad, Maria. And she's Asian Canadian, but also spent some time in, was it China and Korea? Correct me if South Korea?
It's
Shay?
China, Korea, and then one other country that I
It
can't
was
remember off the
Germany,
top of
but
my
I was
head.
thinking of
There.
Asian countries. All that to say is that she will be sharing her experience of being in those Asian countries. So you can definitely learn from her as well. And then we're going to be sharing her contact information too. And that's also what we want to do so that, like, Delsa, if you have more specific questions about Asian countries that like we don't have the experience on, we want to build this network up of like, oh, but we have a friend or we have a resource that does have that, intimate experience. And we'd love for you to connect to get your answers, your questions answered. So that will also be coming up soon as well. So just a pinpoint there.
One thing about you, you're brilliant. Um, yeah, so I will say, me personally, queer neurodivergent femme who and is a student visa or work visa better. Um, I think the student visa versus work visa is really going to depend more on you internally.
Hmm.
So and when we say work visa, that there's a bunch of different kinds of work visas. So if you go back to our visa article, once again, if you haven't checked it out, definitely go check it out. It lists the nuances and what these visas are.
Hmm.
So if you're going to go for a student visa, something to know if you're going for a student visa, which I experienced when, and I'm sure that you, Candace, can also talk about this, but when you go in for a student visa, you are a student. You are going in,
Yes.
you are in class. You have
Yeah.
class time, you have homework, and depending on the kind of student visa that you're on and the country that you're in, you
Yeah.
may
You
have to
can't work.
work alongside, or that country or that program or that whatever could give you a stipend to pay for your the stipend, the getting money to be able to study is less common. What is more common is you can go for a student visa and then you would have to pay your way, and pay for your like living and whatever out of pocket, um, and continue to be in school every day, which some people can do. And it works beautifully for a lot of people. I
Yeah.
could not be in be in class
And it
every
also,
day.
I will say it truly depends with a student visa. It truly depends on your study, on your country, on the visa type. Because for example, in Denmark, you cannot work more than part-time. They're like, you're here to study. So you can work obviously to help, but you can't work more than 20 hours. Like that's a very clear line that they have here because they're like, while you're in school, you need to be in school. Like you have to technically get an extra visa, like a little add on to your visa when you do your internship or need to work any hours extra, like more beyond 20. So sometimes and some visas, they're rare, but some you can't work much at all because they again really want you to study. It varies depending on if you're doing bachelor or your master's, but again, this is more going to be pertaining to, do you want to study? What do you want to study? Right? Because student visas are great. They're a great way forward. But also, at the end of the day, you are a student, to Shayna's point. So, do you actually want to study? Do you want that to be part of your time? Also, there's the other option I've talked about before, which is like PhD programs, which in many countries, PhD programs, wow, like actually pay you like a full-time employee as you should. So that's also a viable way of, if you get accepted for a student visa, you're also would be getting paid for your PhD to be doing something like that, which many people are able to make, like keep a thriving life, at least here in Denmark and in many places abroad, by studying at like the PhD level because they are paid for that. So it really depends. And to your point, that's something to keep in mind. If you do want to freelance alongside, is how many hours you're going to be working and how to supplement that.
Also important to know, Candace is talking about student visas that are related to accredited universities that give you a degree. There are
Hmm.
also
Hmm.
student visas that are attached to accredited universities that
Great
do
point.
not give you a degree. And for those, you will 100% have to pay out of pocket for your daily livings while also being a regular attendant in school. That was what I did when I was in Spain, which is very different from what Candace did in Denmark.
Mhm.
Multiple kinds of student visas are out there. So if that is something that you are open to, then that is where your research should begin. Now, whether that is better for you as opposed to a work visa, which could be a freelance visa, which could be a more traditional work visa where your company like brings you over, like that's really going to depend on what it is that you want, what it is that you want your visa,
Mhm.
your long-term stay to be attached to.
Mhm.
Um, if you know that you are definitely going to be a student no matter what, do the student visa. If you know that you're definitely going to be moving and you're going to be freelancing, or you know that you're going to be moving and your company is definitely going to, then do the work visa. But
Yeah.
that is, yeah. And as opposed, and versus what Asian country, Asia is huge. Asia is
Huge.
huge. And there's so many different like cultures and languages and
Yeah.
ethnic groups from East Asia to Southeast to South to Pacific Island to like there's so many different, and even within those regions there's so many
Yeah.
nuances from country to country.
Mhm.
So when it comes to like which one is good for queer, neurodivergent femme people. I will say in general, there are a lot of femme people who really enjoy traveling throughout Southeast Asia. It is a very safe
Mhm.
place for solo travelers. Neurodivergent, there's neurodivergent people everywhere. The
Yeah.
conversation around how neurodivergence is
Hey, Stella.
embraced, accepted, uplifted, quote unquote discouraged, that's going to vary from country to country. I will say, if you're from the United States, you cannot expect for the level of acceptance and nuance to be continued in other countries. Um, that
That part.
is
Excuse the child.
that
The
was a
child
rude
is screaming in the
awakening.
background. Yes, and but that's also a point to say, again, building your circle and building your community. If you are neurodivergent and wanting to do a program, okay, well, that already helps you to limit down what type of program. Looking at the university, what do they offer as far as neurodivergent support? You can look at outside. Are there other elements for the country that offer support? So then it's kind of going with, and this we talk about this in both our must-have list and also our visa pick list, which again we also have some resources to help this planning. We posted it in BBA and then also in this article, but me and a community member, Lux, went in on some Notion templates that I'm super excited about because I think they're super, super helpful for like getting all of your notes for like, okay, this visa works, this country works, blah, 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 and being able to rank them. So you can also, I don't know if Shayna put a link specifically to them in the live bit here, but we will add that later so you can find the Notion templates. Because these are super, super helpful for like getting all these notes and being like, okay, what programs work for schooling, what programs work for, for work and all of that good stuff. So keep an eye on all of those things. Um, do, do, do,
I also
do.
wanna I'm gonna ping a couple of things real quick on here.
Yes.
Um, so somebody, Kirby, also mentioned Japan, just adding a little bit of nuance to the conversation. We don't know what's gonna happen in the future. I'm just putting out what I'm seeing right now. For Japan, the prime minister, who we do not know is going to be like, uh, who's there are some elected officials in the long story short, the far right is on the rise in Japan. The far right in the highest level of government is
Mhm.
currently on the rise in Japan. Now there's a very, very, very big election that is coming up in Japan. And when I say the far right, I mean that there are protests on the street talking about kick these immigrants out of here, with like the what is it, the rising sun. I think
Mhm.
there's a lot of like nationalism that is happening in Japan right now. And a lot of Japanese people are very concerned. Coming from somebody that is living in Asia and knows some Japanese people, there's a lot of deep rooted concern. So when we say research the country that you are moving to, through an intersectional lens. This is what we're talking about. Um, Now,
Yes.
they don't know which way this election is going to go. People are trying to be as optimistic as possible. We will see in the coming months. But if you are considering moving to Japan, this is a thing to definitely keep an eye out on because
Yeah.
people throughout Asia, especially Japanese people, but people throughout Asia, as of right now, from what I'm seeing,
Mhm.
pretty concerned about that.
Yeah, that's
Um,
a really good point, is like when you're looking at these few countries, again, it's what way do you want to attack it? It's kind of like the chicken or the egg. Do you start with the visa? Do you start with your must-have list and say, okay, I want to focus on the country first and I'll figure out the visa? Are you are you specific where it's like I need this type, I know I want to study this, or I know I need to work with this. Okay, start with your visa options. Is it okay, I know politically I need to be here. Okay, start there. But either way, consider all of it, and it's not really in the time, but similar to the timeline, it's like there are a few things that can be done in different order, but either way, you have to get them all done. So whether you work through our checklist of like, okay, first you do mindset, then you build your, move abroad must-haves list, then you work out visa. If you do all of that at the different time, that's fine. Just do all of them at one
mhm.
point
Yeah.
to cover your bases. But a great idea is like if you are narrowing down to a few countries, start putting their news on, putting like a little bit of like their news watch. Just start looking at creators, other immigrants that have moved there, looking at content. There's tons of content on Reddit, on TikTok, on whatever, and get into like what's happening on the ground as much as you can. By being aware, it's also not to fear monger in the way of like you got to find a country that's perfect. There's no such thing. So it's really like, what is it looking like? What can I tolerate? What risk can I tolerate? What risks can I not? And you can only know that and make that comparison if you're aware and starting to research these places, not just from like, again, your visa options, the housing options, your health, and what's happening politically. And this is why I think it's especially the what you need to move abroad visas and docs Notion template that we have available that goes through all of the bits of like, or actually I think it might be your must-haves list. That's like, okay, economic, how does this country rank? Um, Work wise, how does this country rank? Culture wise, how does this country rank? So you can really start to look at like what countries are green on all of those things, what countries are maybe red, what countries are orange, and then fit what works best for you. Because a lot of this is planning. And what Shane and I really want to do is not to say, I mean, Shayna moved without being in the country before. Um, be as prepared as you can. We want you to come to this journey abroad a little bit more, grounded than like, I just got to leave and figure it out. That's also a cute way to go. But as much as you can research before and to try to ground in the way of at least living there for at least a year to figure out if it's good for you, right? That's a different mindset than just like, oh, let me figure it out there. It's like, okay, but how can you stay there at least for a longer time and build community and give yourself the best shot of a good life abroad rather than be more reactive, which it's absolutely easy to be right now. So we're trying to bring that balance, and hopefully, with all the resources we're giving, but especially like the timeline, the visa information, you can start to see like, okay, this is feasible, doable, and I can start today with just starting to research, with just getting my mindset right, with just looking at visa options, things like that. So
Yes.
and yay, and
I
hi to everybody who's popping in. This is so good to
Yeah,
see. Such
hey.
great conversation.
We are
Thank you,
definitely
Jean.
going to circle back to the timeline article, which once again, if you have not read, the link to it is in the description. Definitely give it a read so that way this conversation makes a lot more sense.
Yes.
But a couple of things just to like wrap up some of the questions that we've gotten in here before we dive back into the timeline convo. One, I saw, where are you? Somebody said, I've heard nothing but good things from
Mhm.
Bangkok, including trans people. I'm Black, trans, and neurodivergent. That was one of the, not necessarily
I
specifically
heard
about
you.
trans people, but the queer acceptance and the queer when it comes to people of the queer experience and how the medical system and how legally
Mhm.
queer people are taken care of in Thailand in general, and with Bangkok being the capital, it's really a macrocosm of what of how the of how a country would treat its people. It was a huge green flag for me. Personally,
Yeah.
huge green flag. The the access to queer medical care, the thriving queer community, the fact that I see so many non-hetero, non-cis
Mm.
couples, individuals just out on the street, live,
Love
laugh,
it.
loving their lives. I'm like, this is a kind of safety that regardless of what kind of experience you are having, reads as a deep and thick level of safety. Huge green flag for
Mhm.
me. As somebody that is living in Bangkok, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I
I've
have
heard
also heard stories
I've heard
from Black.
Philippines.
Huh?
Have you gotten anything about Philippines? I've also heard Philippines being pretty accepted for queer people, but I don't know.
I
I've heard.
I don't
Grapevine.
know about, like, overarching queer people as in
Okay.
I know that the Philippine I can say from what I've seen, heard thus far, open to being wrong, let me know if there's info that I'm missing in the chat,
We're so
but
open.
I know that when it comes to people of, like, the gay or lesbian or bi experience, there is a lot of overarching acceptance within the Philippines as it relates to trans people,
Trans.
as it relates
Mhm.
to people that are more visibly non-binary. That
Mhm.
I do not know.
Different. Okay. So we'll
That I
try to
do not
get
know.
if anybody knows any contacts, we'll try to reach out because again, we want to get these firsthand accounts, like we're saying, and we don't want to speak out of pocket to be like, yeah, it's absolutely great. We want to do our research as well. So that's really good to know. And I'll try to keep that in mind if we have anybody in the Philippines or experience with the Philippines. So that would
Yes, we
be
should.
amazing.
Um, and just to wrap up another question that was had,
Yeah.
oh,
Okay.
Philippines have abortion ban. Mm, I
This is
yeah, also very conservative. The conservative thing, I yes, I
yeah,
generally know.
yeah,
I do know that they still have like a pretty thriving like gay lesbian scene over there, but definitely
yeah.
there's yeah, you're
It's
right.
both and right.
You are also
There's a lot. It's the level, and that's the thing where it's like
mhm,
that's the space and that's the conversations and the depths that we have to talk about is like if you are you know not as I hate to say like visibly queer or visibly non-binary, maybe the Philippines actually could be a good place for you. Right, like, that's where it's like some places can be good for some people and some places can be good like, not good for them, and that's where it's really specific to you, and that's, again, where we keep going back to having your own specific must-haves list, and also
mhm,
being very aware of how you present and what level of safety you need and what privileges you do have, right? Where I have a different experience in Denmark as a African American woman who has a Danish partner. I have a level of privilege that I know not everybody has. So when I recommend Denmark, I'm like, okay, well, what are you coming in with? Because depending on what you're coming in with, could be an incredible place, could be not so great. And I'm okay with being wrong. And I think that's also part of what Shane and I are doing with this is like realizing the privileges we've had and the singularities of our experiences we have and wanting to have people be aware that there's nuances of it, that we can't say we highly recommend one country for every single type of person. It's
mhm.
just it just doesn't exist, I don't think.
Like, quick example, we're also definitely gonna read Isaac V's comment right over here.
Love it.
But quick example for like when I was in Spain, Spain was not great for me specifically for my specific needs.
Mhm,
There are specific people that maybe I probably wouldn't recommend Spain to move to long term.
yeah.
But if you are the Spain's queer scene
Mm,
is alive and thriving and
I've heard
healthy and
it's healthy.
vibrant,
It's
and the
healthy.
community is strong over
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And if you are a white queer person,
Oh,
emphasis on the hard W white,
you're gonna do
it
fine.
could it could be you
You'll
do
have
great
fun,
over there.
sweetie. You'll
You
be
do
right as right as
you'll have
Judy.
fun, you will find community, you will if you are not white and of the queer experience, that's where things get which is why the intersectionality of it all plays in. Um, so we're gonna read Isaac's.
Yes.
I'm gonna make a quick comment about a comment that was much earlier on, and then we're gonna talk about timeline. Um, Isaac says the Philippines, while extremely Christian, is very accepting of transgender individuals. My stepdaughter is a famous we're gonna say Filipina beauty queen and entrepreneur. And this is why we love bringing in other perspectives.
I
We
love
don't
that.
have all the answers. So
One space for haters
if
and
you're
haters
curious about the
definition.
Philippines, let this be a firsthand experience, a firsthand account for you.
Yes. Exactly. And this is
Yes.
why, like, again, going on and we have so much information for good or for bad. We have so much more information now, but people who are, it's more accessible for people to share their stories. So that's why it's like research, go to, TikTok accounts or Reddit, like we say, Facebook groups, and ask the people who are there who have similar backgrounds or similar things that they brought to that country and hear their experience because they are going to be the best people, to tell you what's what and to at least, again, have you look at, okay, is this something I can deal with? Is this something I can't? And still leave space for it to, I would say for it to be better, but like leave space for there to be some contradictions and leave space for there to be some things that aren't perfect. But this is why having a full list and saying like, okay, this country checks off 8 of the 10 things. Are those two things that they don't have? Can I live with that? Okay, then. Right? Because it's of course harder to make that jump, but especially if you're coming from the US, I'm sure the list of things that are not so great are mounting. So when you try to compare it or at least look at a slightly better opportunity, 10% better, 20% better, that's where you can start making some, healthy decisions about what the next country could be, or at least which countries to dive deeper into, and then start looking at visa options and then start, the deeper level research there.
Yes. And then quickly to wrap up, there was a woman much earlier on that was like, we have, is that a bug?
Not, not
Sorry.
oh my God, rights
It's
for all
dead.
bugs. Oh my God,
Um,
on screen violence.
it had to go. It had more than it had
It
more
was
than
you.
four
It
legs.
was it was him or me. It was him or me. We both reached for the gun. Oh
We both
yes.
reached for the gun.
Oh yes. I'm
Um,
sorry. I rewatched Chicago
no, that was great.
recently, so
Um,
yeah.
There okay, but for the other comment, there was a woman who said that she was a mother of 5 and she's interested in moving to Thailand. Listen, it is possible. I would just like to reiterate, and I think I mentioned this in the Destination Thailand visa article. If you have not read it, go to Black Babes Abroad. Link is in the description. And just look for Destination Thailand visa article. There's
Mhm.
so much information on
That
there.
was a thick boy.
Um,
Yeah,
that was a big boy.
that was a big
If
boy.
you Jesus, that was a big bug.
Bugs only have
It
rights
wasn't big. It
outside.
was not big. I'm sorry. It wasn't big. It just had to die.
Oh, it's
Anyway,
cracking me
um,
up.
but
Your rights end inside of my own home. Oh,
done.
gosh, you're giving me quotes, Elle. I'm like,
So for the if that is if that's your experience, okay, you have 5 kids, you're a mother, you were interested in moving to Thailand. It is possible. When you have more dependents, you are going to have to be able to prove that you can take
mhm,
care of those dependents for them to also get their visas, which would be attached to yours. So if that is something that you would like to do, then you would need to you and for the destination Thailand visa, unfortunately, to be even more specific, you might want to check the Facebook groups on this, because there's not a specific. I have not found a specific number of like income that they are looking for that says, "Oh yeah, you're good
yeah,
to go." Like, don't worry. I have not found a specific number, and I also don't know what the specific number is off the top of my head for each dependent, because you would need to be able to prove that you can cover each
yeah.
dependent for them to also move abroad. So if that's something that you're interested in, I would look into this.
And that's one of those things where it's like, if they don't put it explicitly on the website, I'm like, all right, I gotta get to my emailing because for the most part, like there is this like secret formula that they have in the back that probably has some leeway of like, okay, it's about this, but they don't want to say it because whatever. So that's one of those emails that's kind of like, hey, specifically, this is my specific situation. I want to be able to show my proof of income. How much income would a range would I have to prove if I was bringing five dependents under the age of 18 or whatever like that? So I think that's where, again, start putting out your feelers. This is the time to get as much information as you can. Just hoard that information and then look at it. And this is why having, if it's our Notion templates, plug, but also truly if it's something having a space somewhere to be able to navigate all of that information so you can start weighing your options. But a lot of these things, if it's specific to a visa or specific to a country, it's like this is the time to reach out, this is the time to already email. And Shayna, you said that you got like pretty quick responses sometimes from the Thai government, but some of those like visa operations can take a few weeks,
It's
so
going
like
to vary from embassy
yeah,
to embassy.
message
It's
them
gonna
now.
vary, yeah. So, for in my experience, it took a while,
Ooh,
because
nice,
I
nice,
was
nice.
going to the Thai embassy in Spain. Oh!
Don't do that.
Listen, this
Actually, we can recommend to not do that.
the
One recommendation,
Spanish,
don't do that.
great cured meats, great
Horrible
wine.
timelines. Talk about
They
timelines.
know how
Horrible
to
time
party.
management.
They know how to
Love
relax.
a siesta.
They hate a job. They hate a job.
Which I honestly respect them for that. It's like, don't make me work either. But like when
It
I
works
need
great for
something
them.
done, I do want you to work.
It
Oh,
works great for them, for their society. If you are a natural, if you are a citizen of the EU, if you have universal
all
health
your
care, if you are a
benefits. Yeah.
Spanish
It's
citizen,
like, yeah, why would you? Why would you work? I love that and I love that energy. It's just not what I was raised in. It sounds like my kind of place. I'm like, yeah, like I love the energy, but I do need this question answered and I don't
I,
want to wait 2 weeks for it. So like could we a bit, just a bit. But that's why Spain and France in some ways when I was there, I was like, it was like so much bureaucracy without the speed. And so I'm like, then what is this for? What make it make sense.
I am
Um,
convinced that every grade that I have, I got from navigating Spanish bureaucracy. I'm just
oh,
putting that
probably,
out there. Okay, wait. With
probably.
the like 18 minutes that we have now, let's talk about
Do
timelines.
we have to? I mean, no, yes, let's talk about timeline, but I think we are having also beautiful discussions here. I love this. Also, Bumblebee Buzz, I saw your comments on there. Yes, please share on Substack in the chat if you have any of those resources with, you said like country tables, if they're safe for queer, trans people, like please, we are not the only people that are allowed to share in like the Substack chat or anything. Like if you have resources, if you find a visa, if you find something that like looks good, share with the community. That's what we're in for. We want to keep this open. We do not have to be the only people, you know, putting stuff out there. Please share with the community. Because again, we know so much more together. Shane and I know, shockingly to admit, I don't know everything. Uh,
Listen,
but
I have no shame
it
saying there's so much I don't know. There's
no,
so
there's
much I
actually
know.
like
There's so much
becoming
I
over
don't know.
30 is when I'm like the relief of being like, I don't know. And sometimes I'm like, I don't even want to know. And that, oh, the freedom. But no, it is really, really great for all of us to pull together and help this community. So please share any of those resources. We're so, so grateful. Like for example, Isaac, now we know, get your surgeries done in Thailand if you're
Oh
looking
yeah,
for it.
absolutely. Like
That's what I've also heard. So
the
I mean, we were
amount
talking
of
about the medical you're getting. I'm like, oh, talk about a mommy makeover. I'll be there, and
the
you won't recognize me on the way
affordability,
out.
the affordability of healthcare, including queer friendly,
Okay.
queer positive healthcare here, like nothing I've ever seen.
Career
Like
positive
nothing
healthcare
I've ever
for
seen.
everybody. Like what?
Yeah,
Jeez.
accessible for, yeah, yeah. Um, what as it relates to South Africa, I did spend a decent amount of time in. When I say decent, I spent like 8 days in Cape Town, but I was very specifically there for a food for a cocktail festival. Um, Personally, I really liked Cape Town. And I will say I've never seen a more segregated city in my life.
That's what I've
I've never seen
heard.
segregation like that before in my life.
Oh, that's what I
Um,
heard.
Now I did make a lot of amazing queer friends while I was there. Oh, amazing. I can't say that I met a bunch of local friends. I did make some amazing friends. Some amazing local friends. We're still in contact to this day, and some of them are queer. They love Cape Town. They are Black. They have like tribal roots. Beautiful, stunning, happy, loving people. And social politics vary from country to country, from region to region, from city to city,
Mhm,
and you can see viscerally the effects of apartheid in Cape Town.
mhm, mhm.
Um, Now that's not to say don't move there. That's not to say don't visit there. That's just so that way you know
Just so you
when you
know.
get there that this is a thing that will need to be navigated while you are there. And there are people that have moved there. There are people that navigate there. I featured a bunch of people that who have emigrated. I can't say a bunch. I keep saying a bunch. It's like a handful of people who have emigrated to Cape Town, like Americans that have emigrated to Cape Town very specifically,
Mhm.
to talk about their experiences in essence. And they love it over there. And they also talk about this reality.
Yeah,
So just a
it's both.
thing to keep in mind, there's no such
Just
thing as a perfect place.
what can you deal with? And again, how are you one of those people that will be affected heavily by the political leanings of the place? And this is where you recognize your privilege. And for us to say it could work for some people, it could not work for others. But yes, Spain and a lot of this stuff too. Why we say once you're kind of starting to lock in on countries, start following their news because if you have not known, the world is changing and I think we can all see more and more. I mean, I remember just like getting a loop in this. One of my first classes in my intercultural studies master's, they talked about the prevalence and just the power and the effect of American politics on the rest of the world. And they were specifically talking about Denmark and Europe. And they're like, when the United States sneezes, the rest of the world gets a cold in the way of how our politics and just culture is so pervasive and also moves and relates to other lands. So you can't say America, like what's happening in the States is just a like you can't say it's just happening there. You can see all of the movements and other happenings in other countries and elections that are affected. So this is where it's important to start looking at how the politics and how things are moving in these countries that you might be interested in so that you can continue to be informed and continue to make that decision. And that is actually a very smart part of like the timeline bit is like, okay, do you have a backup plan? Do you have another country? How are the visas looking? And looking at your timeline for all of that bit.
Hmm. Yeah, I somebody's talking about cars in the comments. Yeah,
Yeah, we're
so
definitely gonna
in
watch it.
my experience, once again, just my experience, but there are certain hubs of far rightism that is growing in different parts of the world. And
Mhm.
across Europe, I can't even just say just the southern parts of Europe as it relates to like Italy, Spain, Portugal, France. Like I can't even say like a certain place because it is a virus that is reaching
Yeah,
a lot of places in a lot of ways. I mean, as we talked about earlier, Japan. So, um, definitely keep an eye out. If
yeah,
there's a country that is on your radar, yes, look into the culture and look into the like, okay, well, how are my intersection the people that fit within my intersections, how are they treated there? And as you're doing that, that's automatically talking about the politics of those places.
absolutely.
So don't be afraid to dive into the local politics and hear it
Mhm.
from the mouths of the people that are on the ground over there. Like it is very, how do I say? Oh wait, I'm just going to hide this user. Um, yeah, I think that it's going to help to narrow down your search
Definitely.
and make the search less stressful.
Make it that's the thing, the informed decision, sometimes it's overwhelming because you're like, "Oh my god, there's so many options." Again, we're going back, if you have a must-have list and you know that you have to have, I don't know, you have to be able to study this specific thing. Okay, well, now you limit down to maybe 5 programs and countries rather than 10. If you know you need to have a certain medical, doctors or medical procedures, okay, now you narrow it down. So sometimes it's like, oh, okay, like now I'm cutting my options, but that's kind of the best you can do.
You
And this
have
is
to
why
cut
you
down your options.
you
You can
have to
only
cut
move to
down your
one
options.
country.
However, but it's good to know, like from Stacey's interview, like she had a top 3 where it's like, okay, she ended up being in Sweden, but also on her list was Denmark and Germany. So if something pops off, now if something pops off in Sweden, it's probably popping off in Germany and Denmark. However, if something was changing, it's good for her to know the reasons why you went to plan A in case something happens with plan A. Okay, I already did all the research to know plan B was also getting me pretty close too, right? We can't say that the next place you move, you're going to be there for 8 years like I have. That luck on my side, right? Um, but I already know because of my must-have list and what I've built is like, okay, I already know the next few places we could go that are similar to what I have right now. Um, so I think intersection of spam and trolling. Yeah. Just live at the intersection of spam and trolling. So random. But I did want to talk, Elle, you talked about culture shock. And I'm also excited for Maria, who I talked about her article coming up because she talks about the reverse culture shock, which I think is fascinating. Um, that is something great to know and to mention and also to stretch yourself a bit is like, okay, so what part of the culture, like you were saying it, feeling a little bit uncomfortable with handling a country that has is vastly different than yours. In what ways? Right? This is what this is what we want to dive into. Do you not want to give up your level of comfort for transportation? Do you not want to give up your level of comfort for social bit? Like, what is it that you want to make sure you can capture still in your new country? Because I know for me, the first time I studied abroad, I felt the same where I was like, okay, I don't want to have a massive culture shock. I don't want to have to worry about a different language. I'm going to go to Australia, which coming from Southern California was like, hey, neighbor. Like, it was in some ways so similar, but in many ways so different. But it was incredible for my first bit abroad to be in a space that was I understood at a level of language and vibes and temperature and things like that, but also stretched me in the way of cultural customs and foods and just work culture. Also study culture in Australia. Talk about not showing up to school every day. I was like the only one there like I'm ready for my class. Everybody was like, it's online. Like, what are we doing? We're taking it at the beach. I was like, okay. Me nerdy. I was
Interesting.
like, oh, I actually want to go. People were like, no, like people just showed up for the final. And the teachers were like, yeah, if you can pass, like, cool.
Fascinating.
Kind of
Like,
love it. It's very Australia. Very Australia of them.
I have always been the kind of person
I
who,
said, yeah.
when it comes to like culture shock, like I understand culture shock and I understand
Vegemite.
it hits me in like different in ways,
Sorry.
I guess.
Very good.
But I have what?
Lee brought up Vegemite on toast with butter and mama. I was prepared to hate that shit. I'm craving it so bad right now, Lee. How dare you? It's like that oh, it's so salty. And now we have to open up the are you team Vegemite? Are you team Marmite? Marmite. Marmite? Yeah. In the
I
chat.
have no idea what either of
One's
these
one's
things
from New
are.
Zealand, one's from Australia, and there's like a battle. So drop
Okay.
drop your likes in the chat if anybody cares. Okay, go on, Shay.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I've realized that when it comes to culture shock, I have tended to be the person that goes to the thing that is farthest from me to see what that experience is. Like when I first moved
Mm,
abroad, I went to Mexico and I moved to a part of Mexico where, generally people are like, oh, hey, there's a lot of people here that can speak English. I'm like, I'm not moving to that part of town. You can't make me move to that part of town. I'm going to go somewhere where most people speak Spanish. I will not
mhm,
know the neighborhood. I mean, I'll know enough about it to know, oh, okay, like I like this building, I
Yeah.
like where I'm going to be living. But outside of that, I'm like, I want to learn a new culture. I want to learn a new language. Teach me something different. I am
Yeah.
down to not know a goddamn
How
thing.
many Sagittarius placements do you have? Because you're giving.
My Venus is in Sagittarius and my North Node is in Sagittarius.
There we are. I was like, you're
Right.
giving Sagittarius for
It's
me.
heavy.
I'm
It's
probably allergic, so
heavy.
I'm gonna look this up. Bumblebee buzz. I think it's actually like banned in Denmark because of the salt content. Spoil. So if anybody could, I'll drop a PO box. Um, but oh yes, I think it's because I'm neurospicy. I know this and don't want to set myself up. But I think that's the best part is know what is for you. Like Shayna's like put me in the difference. And me, I was kind of like, and now when I settled, I knew I was like, yeah, I wouldn't mind having another language. I wanted English. I wanted English to be somewhere in there. Because for me, what I had experienced before in France, where being thrown into a society that was less welcoming to people speaking English, I didn't learn French in that way. Like I'm not like a sink or swim type of learner for language. I need to be coddled a little bit. And that's okay. It's knowing yourself and being honest with that. So if you're saying, "Hey, I do not want to compromise on this type of culture. I do not want to compromise on these types of safe spaces." Amazing. Put that shit on the number 1 of your must-haves list. It's just
Yeah.
being honest with yourself. The best you can do is be honest with yourself now. And then to your point, if you go to a place and you're like, "Oh, okay, like I'm looking for a little bit more difference," that's how you nurture and go get into the community. That's how you then maybe look at a next spot for, okay, maybe my next place can be a little bit more. But I think if it's especially if it's your first time out of the country or living outside the country, like go with what feels comfortable as much as possible because so much of moving abroad is going to feel uncomfortable. If you have a little higher, risk tolerance or newness tolerance like Shayna, go for it. It's just
But you
knowing what you're
also
working with
don't
and being
have to.
honest.
I'm just sharing my
Have to.
story as a means of showing, like, hey, there's other ways to. My ADHD says, let's go. Like, that's what my
Yeah.
ADHD says.
Love that for you.
I don't expect that to be everybody else's experience, nor should it be. There can't be too many people behaving like
There
this in the
there
world.
can't.
There
There can't be that
can't.
many Sagittarius. There can't be that many people. No, and it's again, everybody learns different. Like I'm so happy that the society here is absolutely different enough, but comfortable in all of the ways that mean so much to me. And I that is just a good mix, I think. It stretches me in so many ways, but also comforts me in a lot of ways too. So I think that's where it's like you just have to know what's good for you and why we start with the mindset part and kind of the more internal part because as they say, wherever you go, there you are. So you're going to be the one sitting with you in the airplane if something goes wrong with the flight, if something goes wrong with the housing or whatever, like you're going to be there. So it's like having your own back by the end, like first and foremost is the most important. I've been
Okay,
too comfortable. Oh my gosh, yeah, we have like 3 minutes
we got
to
2 minutes. So with these two
so many
minutes,
good
if you are
comments
not
though.
subscribed to Black Babes Abroad on Substack,
Do that.
head over there now.
Oh,
Now. We are having so many
please.
conversations on there where we're expanding on this.
Oh,
Just go over there,
just go over
get
there.
your resources. There's so many. Candace
Yes.
worked incredibly hard on so many on a
And
number of
loves.
Notion boards to help people get organized. Especially if you're like, "Oh, keeping organized is hard. I have all these thoughts, all these
Baby.
ideas, all these plans, my must have." But she did so much work.
The notion
This
and
way,
I honestly built it to be like what would help me feel like I had control over this massive thing. And it it took some time where I was like, "Ooh, is it this? Is it this?" So and also I'm accepting feedback. So if there's anything that you're like, "Ooh, I'd love for this," baby, love
feedback.
this. Love feedback. Love constructive feedback. And also, yes, we will be doing a Notion template to complement each one of our checklist articles. So we're already working on the run the numbers. We're going to do a financial planner for y'all. We're going to be working on a timeline one to help you organize your specific timeline. So these are meant to support the articles again, but also give you a layout and give you a space to put all of this research that we are asking you and compelling you to do. So
Mhm.
please look at those Notion templates and give us feedback. Let us know if there's other ones that you'd like for us to do, if there's extra bits or things that we can add to them. So happy to have that feedback. It was so such a fun project because I'm such a Notion geek. And I'm so grateful for again our community member Lux who helped support this and really like branched off this project. So thank you so much, Lux, for inspiring that. But yes,
Also, as we're logging out, you guys are the best in the chat.
the
Um,
best. This feels so
uh,
good. I love
For
this.
those of y'all who are paid subscribers to Black Babes Abroad,
Oh yeah, you get all of them.
all of the Notion boards that Candace and Lux have been making will be included. So if you are a paid subscriber, you wait. We're working on getting them. Did we already do that? Is that a thing that we are doing? Has it already
Yes.
been
Oh,
done?
yeah, they're already up. So if you're a paid subscriber, you can already access the first three. There's a post up there. So you'll be able to access the first three templates already included in your membership. And then as we release all the other ones, you'll just get them included.
Done.
So we'll just be posting
Um,
those.
I would like to say that's everything. I have to be up so early tomorrow. It's not so
Ew.
early.
Ew.
It's early
Also,
for me.
maybe we're gonna consider afternoon lives again because this I don't know. The conversation's going really good with the
Nice,
afternoon.
right?
We'll talk about it again.
We'll just
We're always mixing things up with the time. But yes, trying to save the best. Oh, look at the run the numbers for all of y'all talking about saving stuff. The run the numbers post. It's honestly one of the best things we've written. It's one of the best things and a resource I wish I had. I wish I had. And it's so good. Sometimes I know money can be a sticky subject, but it can be done. It can be done. And all you have to do is organize and plan. We have a lot of great resources and ideas for how to save, how to start planning, how to start cutting down expenses, all of that stuff. So please look at that one. And again, the financial planner will be coming to support you with that because that's again, sometimes that's the biggest hurdle. That's the biggest hurdle is can I afford it? Yes. Yes, you can. So,
how can I do it? We are trying to be the moving abroad auntie's big cousins that we wish we had when we first were trying to move abroad.
yeah,
So
that's what we hope. So again, let us know what you want. We actually don't have an Instagram or TikTok yet. Trust me, it's getting
working
worked on. Trust me, it's getting worked on. But yes, for the most part now, Substack is our home, and then YouTube. Now Shayna's YouTube is our second home for lives. But you will know soon. We will probably be branching out on Instagram soon to continue building the community. Okay, now that
yes.
we've chatted, all of y'all's heads off. Thank y'all so much for the conversation, for joining us. This has been so amazing. And I just feel the love and the support. Again, if you have any questions, drop them in Substack chat, share any resources that you come across. Let's get us all feeling good in a new space, feeling well, thriving, feeling safe.
Gentle reminder, this will be live. This will be accessible on my YouTube channel for 48 hours. After that, it's going on Black Babes Abroad. So send this to folks that you feel like this would be helpful to. Write your notes. You got
And then we'll
48
see you on
hours, is
Substack.
what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Yes.
you
And
got
we'll see you
48 and
on
we'll see you on
Substack.
Substack.
Yes.
Alrighty,
Okay.
y'all.
I
We
gotta go
love
to
you.
bed.
Stay
All
safe.
right.
Mwah,
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 mwah.
mwah.
Bye. Boop,
Bye.
ba-doop, doop, doop, ba-doop, doop, doop.